Hello, my name is John Rosebush. I'm the founder, the CEO, and the president of the Worldwide Development Corporation. The Worldwide Development Corporation over the last 15 years has created a new energy invention that has the ability to power this planet 15,000 times over without consuming any resources. We actually put out a United Nations challenge to not only every country in the planet, but also the United Nations body itself, that we should be able to generate 100,000 terawatts of electricity for 5% of the cost of wind and solar. That's a miracle, folks. But it's true. We have never asked for a penny. So, I thought it's time I created a video discussing the different options for powering our land transportation around the world. Today, it's 98% made up of gasoline and diesel. So let's talk about the alternative energy vehicle options that we have today. First one is electric vehicles. The next one is hydrogen combustible vehicles. The next one is hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. And finally, compressed air. So let's start from the beginning. Electric vehicles. What's the pros and cons? The pros are they're very efficient. The cons are we would have to create a whole new infrastructure around the planet. Also, a very bad con is it uses rare earth materials to create magnets. Lithium is not a problem, and they are lithium batteries. We can get that from ocean, seawater, etc. A little more expensive to mine, etc. But the rare earth materials are rare earth materials. They called that for a reason. China has the largest deposit of the rare earth materials that are required for electric vehicles. So, we may end up with shortages, just like we are going to in the future with oil. And what do we do then? So if we convert everything up to run off electric vehicles, but we only produced 60% of those electric vehicles and we run out of that rare earth material, what happens then? These are issues that we need to look at before we start mass producing something and changing to alternative energy. The next one's hydrogen combustible. Hydrogen combustible has a lot of cons. One of the cons is it's very inefficient, but the pros are huge. What are the pros? Our current land transportation vehicles that are millions and millions of them around the world, we can convert to run off hydrogen just like a natural gas conversion. But what's another con? It burns awful hot. So we have to be careful of the heat that when we convert them over. What do we do with that? Well, we're going to have to increase the amount of air coming in versus a fuel mixture. That will help lower the heat. We may have to change a few things on the engine. It's possible we don't have to. We need to create like a Manhattan Project if we're going to do the mass conversion. The next thing is both hydrogen combustible and fuel cell have a benefit of, there's hydrogen pumps that look very similar to a gasoline pump that we can install at the gasoline stations. So it takes very little infrastructure changes. That's a very big positive for both. And in the future, we may create hydrogen fuel cell to replace the hydrogen combustible current vehicles that we have today, because they are much more efficient. Problem is it uses batteries, so I'm not sure how much of the rare earth materials we'll need for those batteries, but they are much smaller than an electric vehicle. Still an issue. We need to look at that issue. The next thing is hydrogen fuel cell. They're much more expensive to make. Probably no more expensive than electric vehicles, but much more than hydrogen combustible vehicles. Much more efficient though, 50% efficient versus 25% for hydrogen combustible. So we do have a fuel problem with hydrogen combustible. We need to store more fuel. But that's not an issue creating the hydrogen. And that is not that much more of a cost because of the new energy invention that I've created. Compressed air. Compressed air, the amount of distance that you can travel is not that far. And but it's possible we can produce those type of vehicles. I think India today produces those type of vehicles. So we have a lot of questions, and we need scientists to determine in an honest way which one is most beneficial. When we made vehicles, we were very smart for one thing and lucky. They're made out of mostly steel, which is iron ore, which the entire planet is made up of iron ore. So no matter where you drill on the planet, you would run into iron ore. But why do we have iron ore mines? Because they're more concentrated. But the entire planet's made up of iron ore, so that's not an issue. And if we recycle, like I've talked about with all our plastics, the amount of plastic in a vehicle too is not an issue. The issue is, how do we power those vehicles? We got some big choices to make, folks. I thought I'd create this video so we could discuss the different options. I hope this helps, and going forward, we're going to need some very intelligent scientists and be very honest, because once we decide which direction we're going to go, we need to make sure it's the right decision for the sustainability of the human race. This is much more than just, currently what's going on. It's talking about how do we produce vehicles that we can have around for hundreds of years, if not thousands of years. So this is critical. This isn't just about who's got the most money or what looks the best and everything else. It's truly about the sustainability of our transportation systems around the world. I hope this helps. I hope people do much more research into it. And by the way, just because right now hydrogen combustible is not as efficient, etc., that doesn't mean that in the future we can't have a project that does a lot of research, worldwide project, that can determine if we can make it much more efficient. So let's not rule anything out. Even electric vehicles, if we can change the rare earth materials, might be a possibility. All these things are possible, but they deserve research. They deserve scientists to look at it and to come up with honest opinions, so to make sure that we create a sustainable transportation system for humanity. I thank you very much, and have a great day.